realities. Do you want me to repeat the question? Financiers frequently complain that Nigerian developers come with a lot of optimistic, estimates when they come for funding. So where do you see the largest disconnect between the developer projections and construction realities? Thank you.
I got it. Disconnect. I would throw out, I think there are about 2 to 3 areas in which I would say brings out, I won't call it the biggest disconnect, but I think it's something very key, and I believe in this room most people relate to. First one is something that was mentioned repeatedly in the first panel, which has to do with infrastructure. I think the right word to use is underestimation of infrastructure and the costs that come with infrastructure. I'll give an example, quick one. I spoke coincidentally to a client yesterday. He's doing a very big development on the Lekki-Epe Express. Very big. Most people don't know it because it's not even advertising. But he told our company to advertise. But I just said, wait a minute. This man is not making noise about it. I called him. What was he doing? He's building. But key thing, the road leading the development is not well done. He's already doing the road. He reached the local government to do the road. And I called him and I said, that you could have factored the cost in. Those are projections. Well, he said something very interesting. He said, can you really get close projections? Especially when you're dealing with the local governments that in some areas, they insist that they're going to do the road. So, structure, not just roads, water systems, and as somebody said, your own local government services. It's been underestimated by parties, and I think it's a big issue. The power issue is also something that's very big. I think Aso Rock, I think in the budget of this year, they made allocations for solar panels. I don't know why typical developers are seeing that and they're not thinking of alternative energy already. So those are key costs, and those are key things that I think pulls the trigger. Second one I think you cannot neglect is Forex, the FX issue. Oduayo, correct me. I think close to 30% of our materials we use are imported. 80? Okay, say 70. That's huge. I think they are very unrealistic projections that are given. And most times, those unrealistic projections, the developers know, but they just want to quickly get the money, do the development, and later they face the issues, all that. Also, unrealistic timelines. There's a development commercial we were dealing with last year. We didn't get transformer till the next, I think it was 6 months after the development was concluded. That's a reality. Those are things that I don't need to say here. We can table it, and if we are realistic, we'll bring out a lot of these issues. So I'll say those 3 issues. Then, lastly, let me just say this. Pre-construction. A lot was said about feasibility here. But I have to say this, so my organs are here. People talk of feasibility is barrel and paper. What's the return? Okay, we sell this. What's the cost? Okay, QS, what's your cost? Contingencies and all that. That's crap. You should bring in sensitivity analysis to test your risks. And that risk touches your FX, touch all your risks across board. That's a feasibility. It's like a technical report. Unfortunately, most people don't do it. If they do it, they will get funding easily. Because as we've said here, and thank God, Tola has left. Tola had a long conversation with me earlier. There is so much money. In fact, I was just looking at him. Money is here. It's for us to do the right thing. So those are the 4 things I think I'll bring up.
Thank you very much. So thank you so much. What I heard you say is that there is need for us to make realistic budgets, but bearing in mind all the variables that can occur. Thank you very much, sir. So, Mr. Ace, China, you're next. Thank you for the fantastic introduction you gave us about your company and what you stand for. So this is an opportunity for you to tell us more. You often speak about democratizing access to housing across Africa. And in a market where traditional mortgage systems remain shallow, what financing innovations have proven realistic in turning ambition into deliverable projects?
Beautiful question. Did you study me before I came here? Yeah, so tried to stimulate us initially, but before I go to answering that question, I want to say, Bright, I used to hear of bright young men with bright future, but I've seen the real Bright. And he mentioned something that I need us to pay attention to. I overheard the Honorable Commissioner stating it. 70% of our building materials are imported, but when you add cement that we don't control, it is like an import. It's 80% to 85%. If you add rod that Ajaokuta has not produced since 1960 or before I was born, it's probably getting close to 90%. So if you are deceiving yourself, he also mentioned something about being realistic. I like that song. In terms of access to democratized real estate, I stated it initially. I was born in 1979. I'm not as young as Bright. But I know that in the early 80s, cooperative banks were stronger than commercial banks. Cooperatives were stronger than any other association in Nigeria organization. And there is a science behind it. There's a law, you can just Google it. It's called the Metcalfe's law that says the power of a network becomes squared with each additional node into the network. It's just n squared. So it means that if two people are using a network and two more people join them, instead of the power of the network doubling, it goes from 4 people to 16, because it's 2 squared is 4. When 2 more people join, 4 squared is 16. So that is how you democratize real estate. We started something in Abuja in 2018. I started real estate very old. I call myself a strong man because people say you don't learn to use your left hand in old age. I started real estate 8 years ago and I was 41. So we started something called social funding. It's a hybrid of thrifting that we tried, and it worked perfectly. And then we found out that no matter how you find your way to Lagos, if Lagos is not good, your route to Lagos does not matter. So when we found that social funding could harness funds and use the power of what we call social organizations, and that Metcalfe's law, we found out that if cement is expensive, no matter how we thrift, no matter how we get to the cement, we'll still have an expensive building. So we now have to start to think how to now indigenalize these materials. I was shocked. Ladies and gentlemen, you can Google it. That bamboo had a similar tensile strength with steel. But who is deploying it? So when we discovered that, we had the solutions, some of it. We now built a very robust R&D department. We're probably one of the few real estate companies in the country with a very robust R&D department. And we are building luxury. I call myself the Robin Hood of housing. We are building luxury to make the profit for the experimental waste of low cost. Why there is no experimental development in Nigeria and Africa is that there is no money to waste on research. My greatest legend of research and the greatest inventor of the 19th century, Thomas Edison, this light bulb we are using, he wasted 9,999 failed experiments. If JP Morgan, who partnered with him, and other people that were financing him did not give room for waste, we won't have the light bulb. And so this bright became very bright for me when he told you about the crisis fund. Until we wake up as Africans and ask ourselves, simple question, when not our forefathers, because it sounds esoteric, my own father and most of the young people's grandfather, like Bright's grandfather, when they were building with mud, grass, and labor of age grade, was anybody homeless in our villages? Until we bring back our brain and begin to think, how can we harness the resources under our feet and make them such that more people can participate before we can democratize housing? And I'm not waiting for you. In 24 months, we are launching our low-cost housing model that plans to take a 2-bedroom bungalow, irrespective of what land. We are still discussing with the land factor with the government. A 2-bedroom bungalow from the present 20 to 50 million to about 5 million naira, using indigenous building materials. And when Bright talked about young people, Bright will build, we're not just building studio apartments, we're going to build self-contained that are for sale. In Nigeria, there are no self-contained for sale anywhere, they're only for rent. You sell self-contained, you have stolen my idea now.
You can collaborate.
So why he has stolen the idea is the self-contained, but the building material will collaborate. Imagine when we crash that self-contained to like 5 million, that an average student's father can buy him a house next to his campus. And he doesn't rent his house, he owns his house, that after school, he has an asset he can rent out for when he wants to transition from student to work. So that's what we are doing. So Bright, we will talk, not tell other people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bright didn't steal your idea. There's so much room. If we have 21 million people that are without homes and don't even have a hope of having houses, that means that for brains like you and that of Bright, the future is very bright.
Very, very bright.
So, one of the things, thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much. You could see that the applause was much when you spoke, because there are many people here that are thinking, what's all this English they are speaking? Where that cannot afford a house? So thank you for giving us hope. But one of the things that I want to say here is that I commend Lagos State government. There is a college called Cooperative College, where people are trained to understand what cooperatives can do for people. I happen to be an alumni. I'm actually one of the first executives of that association. And one of the things that I know that the world needs, what I heard you say, is that as Nigerians, we need to be indigenous. And one of the things that can help us is collaboration. So I have in this room, I think I saw him, Mr. Atola Hikube. I was in Lagos Business School 20 years ago to do an owner manager course. And since that 20 years ago, all my mates in class, every month we do contributions and a susu. That particular income has helped me to do a whole lot personally. So I want to add my voice to the ladies that were here before, talking about personal discipline. Everybody is looking at the government to be the messiah. I was so passionate about this home ownership thing that I went to do a course in Harvard last year, and I was shocked to hear that in America, they also have affordable housing issues. So the world is looking inward. Saudi Arabia is also building a 30-year, they have a 30-year plan, and they're all looking for money. So Nigerians wake up, we are the ones that can help ourselves. Thank you very much. My next question goes to Mr. Kuyebi. Fantastic. Luxury developments are understood as purely aesthetics, yet financiers increasingly evaluate operational resilience and recurring income potential. How do you design premium assets today so that they remain financeable across economic styles? The question is quite long. Do you want me to take it again? Or
Yes,
you
ma'am.
got it?
I got it.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I'll start by saying this. The word luxury is actually a cliche as far as real estate is concerned in Nigeria today. And the fundamentals are actually there. But for me, it's not comfortable, it's not luxurious. And when you look at beyond the aesthetical facade, another thing you discover in the recent past is the fact that houses built 20 years ago are better in terms of structural integrity, quality of material deployed, thought process put in place than what we call luxury today. The building is not luxurious if it's not functional. One of the most expensive household costs today is energy. And you are selling me a luxury apartment that has a window that is less than 2 square meters in a space of about 25 square meters. That means you have conditioned me to perennially use air conditioning system. You are selling me a luxury apartment that I can reach my neighbor by the stretch of hand and exchange pleasantries. What you are telling me is the fact that I am not safe if there is an airborne diseases outbreak. It will shock you that even in the most prime location in Lagos, like Banana Island, town planning rules are being flouted. They want to sell you a $3 million apartment, and when you open your window, you are directly looking at another person's compound. Is that luxurious? So, I say this, and what are we doing? And when you buy those houses, because people don't really do what we do at GMH, and that is post-occupancy evaluation. What do I mean by that? When we finish a development and over, after 2 years, we go back to ask for the results from the occupant. They abuse us, but we learn a whole lot of what we will never do again. And that actually changes in our design processes and even quality of material deployment. So, you buy these luxury houses today, and instead of you enjoying capital appreciation, what you suffer is actually depreciation. You are enduring capital loss as a result of the fact that the house is not built to be resilient. The house is not built to be sustained. The house is not built to last. And the reasons are not far-fetched. When you look at premium properties that has endured, we are talking about full body loan today. You look at it from the standpoint of density. You look at it from the standpoint of management, the facility management. Is the big elephant in the room. The building is still standing pristine and premium today because of the facility management that is an extension of the development company. So the vision is clear. And that is why when you look at majority of apartment building, they are like, majority of them that is even built 5 years ago are looking like the houses built by late Jack Conde. How do you enjoy capital appreciation when proper maintenance are not put in place? How do you enjoy tenancy, cash flow from tenancy when property are not properly maintained? And how are you able to flip such property for gain over the years? So, and that is why majority of assets beyond the aesthetics to do valuation. I'm saying Mr. Obosi for the first time. Obosi, thank you so much for building a compelling brand, because majority of the time before we started using Obosi, whenever we do valuation for one entity and we're going to do valuation for another entity, they change values. But since we started using his firm, if we do for entity A, we are able to use for entity Z. And that is power of reputation. Thank you so much. So what I'm saying is this. a house that is not properly maintained is not able to enjoy capital appreciation when you talk about inflation, when you talk about devaluation, when you talk about even in Nigerian market that is a seller's market. The Nigerian market is seller's market, it's not buyer's market because you don't have many options. And that is why when people compare Nigerian market to South African market and Dubai market, I laughed. Because in those climes, you can live and work in. What is the travel time of people from Wing to VI? 5 years ago and today. What is the travel time between Agege and Ikoyi 5 years ago and today? It's almost doubled in terms of travel time. So, and the reason why property in those neighborhoods is very high in demand, and developers are taking the advantage of the fact that it's seller's market, scarcity, to actually slam prices on them because people don't really have options. Before the creation of Eco Atlantic, banana has no competition in terms of size and quality of infrastructure. What comes close to banana is Royal Garden Estate, but it's disadvantaged as a result of location in terms of infrastructure and quality of construction that's going on in there. So, majority of houses that are built now, they are looking beautiful today. In another 1 year, check the houses. In another 2 years down the line, check those properties. They are perennially vacant as a result of quality of craftsmanship that has actually gone down the line. So they look beautiful outward, but are they performing the function of utilization down the line? And that is one code we've been able to crack at GMH. And I will say this. We have a 3-bedroom apartment. One thing that is very common with an apartment building is once you drive into the apartment, you begin to see funny faces. Those are the drivers. Because they don't have where they will sit and wait for their respective bosses. That is one of the solutions we deal with. We experimented with one of our apartments in Lekki. So we incorporated a driver's lounge with a convenience so that the driver is not going to the boss's apartment to say, I want to use the toilet. Because they will definitely need to use the toilet. Another thing we also saw, you built an 8-story building, 7-story building, and you have just one elevator and a backspace. When there is downtime in the main elevator, downtime for the main elevator, maybe it's ongoing maintenance, how will somebody living in a penthouse access his apartment on the 8th floor? So we created a service lift. Another particular problem with an apartment building is the fact that when you come out in the morning, it will be so unfortunate if the first person that has used the elevator carry trash, the odor of the trash will follow you if you are not wearing a very strong perfume. So we created a service elevator to ensure that that is not the case. Another thing we try to do differently also is the fact that when you look at apartment building, people build with disregard for how we function. You are selling me a house of 300 million and you are giving me one parking space. Unit of apartment and you have just spaces. And you want all of us to just move in there. So, so those are the things. And all of these things touch down on your ability to be able to pre-plan properly. So you bought a house. So I'll give you so to wrap it up, to answer the finance, the numbers aspect of the question, because real estate is beyond brick and mortar. Real estate is pure finance. And if it is not economically viable, it's not bankable. So I was privy to an information of recent, and it gladdens my heart. One of my subscribers bought a house in 2021, and it didn't perfect his title, so she wants to resell. She bought when dollar was 560. She bought at 175 million. In 2026, she's reselling the same property for 600 million, even when dollar was at 1.4. Remember, she has lived there for 2 years. She's plugging out. She plugged in with about $300,000. She's plugging out today with about 450,000.
Very much affordable housing, yet financing at scale continues to lack perspective from.
Yeah. Let me just quickly give a response to Honorable Commissioner's remark to Mrs. Okonjo. Am I right? When she talked about smart cities having low income staying around, that's when you can have smart city. Your response was apt, but however, sir, your response was that the solution is to have infrastructure, transport, rail lines to connect. That's how it is done all over the world. But however, sir, we want a Lagos that is very ambitious than the way it is today, right? Because Lagos should not even be compared to any state in Nigeria. As you are aware, sir, Lagos is a country, more than a country, and all that. So we want an ambitious government because the state has character. You have the capacity to attract funds, to attract capital. So you need to go for it, more ambitious to get this done. That's one. Two, on the issue of building right. Lagos State government give all the code to follow, all the what you need to do, requirement. But we found out, based on what you said, and it's real, that some developers do not follow rules and regulations. But we want a situation where the government will move in on time, right? Not to wait till people are built and you go and move in. What that causes for the state is that it does not portray the state right in the eyes of investors, in the eyes of people that live outside Nigeria, right? So, however, because there's a trust deficit about Nigeria, and unfortunately, Nigerians in diasporas, I don't want to generalize, they are not really doing well. People badmouth our country. I've not seen any country in the world where citizens badmouth their country. It's only in Nigeria who go to social media and talk down on your country. And I want the government to look into that. Moving on time, don't give room for people to continually badmouth our country. Thank you very much. To go to your question, yes, I have a different view about affordable housing. We believe somebody said cement is not affordable, road is not affordable, labor today is not affordable. What we need to talk about is affordable financing, right? And what we have done, right, with the government in terms of advocacy, in terms of partnership, is to partner with Federal Mortgage Bank. Today you can get a loan at 7%, right? We're doing a project in Abuja, it's massive. We call it a city, renewed up city. It's taking over 2,000 housing units. A lot of people have subscribed. People that ordinarily would not have bought into housing today have subscribed because with just a 10% down payment, you can access Federal Mortgage Bank loan. We also have MREF. MREF today we are aware is single digit, 9.75. Today they were able to raise the 1 trillion naira program. Somebody have said is there. They raised 50 billion. Today they have disbursed over 72 billion. Imagine that money would not have been disbursed if not for MREF. So what we need to do is to look at how to collaborate more with government. We've collaborated more with Federal Mortgage Bank, with MREF, Murphy, with there's this third institution now. It's called, they do help to own. What's their name now? Help to own. There's an help to own family-owned fund. Here we have a collaboration with them to access single-digit funding for subscribers that want to be. So with that, we're able to do a lot what we are doing as regard affordable financing. And again, we have different view about 20 million housing deficits in Nigeria. I do not agree. I do a lot of study. If you go to my village, if you go to Ijebu, you go to Ibadan. So we need to now redefine, reclassify housing deficit to say, is it urban residential deficit or rural residential deficit? Because it's only Lagos, Port Harcourt, major cities that you have this crisis, right? If you go to my town in the Kenya, everybody we have where we are living. If you go to Ijebu, Ijebu, other state too. So I have a different view. Just for the record, about 20 million, 22 million, 22 million housing that's there. There's a lot of research that is going, right? So we cannot come and say this is the estimate. Yes, yes. It should be between 12, 13 million. That is why I said study is still going on. There's no basis for it. Yes.
So, Mr. Orimolade, the next question is for you, sir. So, as I ask this question, you would also give us your, your passing notes, because we have, I don't know how this Ojoro happened, but it told me 5 minutes ago that we had 10 more minutes. So, inflation volatility has disrupted project visibility nationwide. What new cost control mechanism should financiers insist upon before releasing funds?
Okay, you say you have 2 minutes, and I should do closing. All right, I'll do closing and I will add that bit, hopefully. Mr. Frank, I wanted to throw something at you. The richest man, richest black man in the world is Alhaji Aliko Dangote. When he went live with his refinery, and there were initially little political squabbles. That's the only way I can call it. He made a pronouncement in the newspapers, well celebrated. I'm going into steel. That's what Aliko said. Next few weeks, that's when the issues came up. The only thing we're hearing Aliko was NNPC, and we all know what has happened. Right now, we are hearing about him talking about detergents, creating another factory beside it and all of that. Why I said I'm tying it to inflation, I'm tying it to what everybody is saying here, including my friend here. Let finance be there. Let government provide free land. Hold on, I'm coming somewhere, sir. Let government provide 20% in certain areas, free land for what you call affordable, right? Let there be money. However, nothing is going to change much if you don't attack the construction cost. And what is construction cost? The materials. The greatness of the United States and the developing nations was steel. Well documented. Just go to YouTube, you see it. Steel. You get steel rights, and I'm not talking of Jogota here. You will cut your cost by, I don't need anybody to give me anything, like 50%. Currently, Boaz, I sent you, FIAPC President, Akin Patola, I sent you something some weeks ago. And we have to bring it up. Boaz factory is producing what? Is it POP? It's producing POP. They're about to go. And I just said, okay. That's why I said I'm going to wrap it up like this. I went to AI. I said, okay, let me not use my brain. POP, what products can you do in the housing? How far can it go? I went to affordable housing. AI brought so many things out, and I said, what is wrong with us? So, Mr. Frank, what I'm saying is this. When next you are breaking fast with the richest man, Aliko Dangote, because we know you're friends with him, please let him know that in this program, some of us said, can we wake up and go back to steel? Let's have that conversation so that we'll move this issue forward. That's my closing line.
Thank you very much. So I'll just quickly add, I was opportunity to visit a factory in America last November, and they are using glass the waste of glass products to create aggregates, to create it's all part of us thinking out of the box. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Ace, institutional lenders increasingly assess governance and community risk before committing capital. You have a project called Alasia Highland, which allocates equity participation to indigenous landowners. How does that model change investors' confidence and project sustainability? When you are done answering that question, please give us your parting notes.
Yeah, my parting note will be Alasia Highlands. So everybody here has just said, as a matter of fact, I feel like Peter on the mountain of transfiguration. I wish I could build houses for all of you and stay outside and just listen to all of you. Because And so I kudos to the Business Day team. Some of the minds you brought here are really interesting. Listening to them. When you're thinking something and you are the only person thinking that thing, you are not far from insanity. But when you hear the same thoughts from other people, your sanity returns. So thank you for returning my innovative sanity. Alesa Highlands houses do not hang in the air except for steel. We must write this down. Every development is located in a location. And if the location does not buy into that project, the project will have hostility instead of hospitality. And the only thing that can aside the earth is steel. In my low-cost estimations, if we don't get steel right, we will never rise. Every country rises on the back of steel. Because you can't put earth on top of another earth to rise. It's steel. So let's get that. Alesa Highlands is a sustainable green smart city that we are developing in Port Harcourt that will be the lowest density residential estate. It will be a net zero emissions and energy resilient estate. We are targeting, as a matter of fact, my energy partners have been telling me we can do 50% less cost for power compared to NEPA. That means if NEPA is charging 10 naira per kilowatt, we'll be charging 5 naira. All that beautiful innovation will not hang in the air. It must sit in a community. And I discovered when I got to Rivers State that young people, communities are not hostile. Nigerians are the friendliest people in the world, but also we are easily frustrated and we look for innovative way to vent out our frustration. So to ensure that the Aboriginal landowners own our project, participate in the project, we're not giving 10% equity participation. We're giving 10% equity expenditure allocation to the Aboriginal landowners so they can eat their cake and have 10% of it. So they've sold the land, but in our expenditures, we add 10% for their CSR. One of the strongest words I've heard since I started business is responsibility. And thanks to Stephen Covey in his book, The 7 Habits, that made me know the power of responsibility. If you can reduce power and weakness to 2 words, the weakest word in the world is complaining. The strongest word in the world is responsibility. And we started this because it's expenditure allocation. We started this even while we were acquiring the land. And our model has been studied. I think Business Day did that study. Indorama Petrochemicals, former LMA Petrochemicals, adopted 7.5 profit share. But because real estate is a game of patience, that even Bright, that is still young, knows that you must be patient. So we didn't want the community to be that patient with us until we start making profit. So we started allocating them in our expenditure. And they have become the most hospitable, the most protective, the most marketing. I sit and the king of Alesa community will call me. I'm in Abuja. I'm with so and so. I've just introduced your company to them. They've been helping us sell Alesa Highlands. And in conclusion, we have to use our brain, like I've discovered most of the minds here. Alesa is the name of the community where the refinery, NNPC refinery is in LMA, Port Harcourt. In the Mayor of Housing, we realized that the brain is the only asset stronger and bigger than real estate. And we have both of them. So we have to create a meaning for Alesa. And that's my parting note. And after we searched, we found a meaning for us that made the community have goosebumps and support us. For us, we gave the meaning of Alesa as advanced living environment for sustainable advantage.
You have answered because you had a long go at the first time. So I would just like you to give a parting note, to the audience in about a minute. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. My parting note will be the bane of developers in Lagos today. I want to appreciate Dr. Olumide since his dispensation from 2023. I think we have less collapse of building. In 2016, we have a bigger one. And that means there is something they are doing right. But the problem is this. When we get money at 34% or 37% as the case may be, even when in our sleep, we are paying interest. So, our challenge is this. We put in for approval. We'll pay for state certification lab car. We'll pay for last month. But you discover that Loma still come and lock your site. Lagos State Material Testing Laboratory come and lock your site. Ministry of Drainage will come and lock your site. Fire service, if you are building an apartment building, will come and lock your site. I want you to do something for us. Because the only thing we have is time. Just imagine the travel time if the Fort Milan Bridge has been built. We are backward not because we have bad leaders. We are backward in this part of the world because we lack respect for time. That's why we are backward. When you look at the cumulative of, and that's why majority of the time, projects are not delivered to time. And when you don't deliver to time, you can't deliver to cost. You cannot. So, sir, can you help us to integrate all of this agency so that we'll pay for approval and pay at a go? Just look at how seamless stage certification is. You just call them when you are ready. They come because you have paid for it. They inspect, they check your construction drawing. If there's alignment with the approval drawing, they approve. You cast your slab. And that has actually reduced the rate of collapse. But the truth of the matter is just that the other agencies, they need to help us. Because if you take 2 billion from bank today and you are paying 34%, on a daily basis, it will shock you. You are paying an average of 1 million on the facility. So if somebody come and lock such project for 2 weeks and we are resolving it, I have lost 14 million doing nothing. Please and please help us address it. Thank you so much, everyone.
To respond because you can see everybody is clapping. Thank you.
We'll give him the time to respond.
Yes, I'm going to give you. So, Mr. Oludare, for this panel and then your closing remark. The question is, energy efficiency and operational sustainability are becoming underwriting considerations globally. Are Nigerian lenders beginning to price efficiency and operating performance into financing decisions, particularly for residential estates? Thank you, sir.
It has a big concept. I don't repeat the last one, sir.
Okay, so are Nigerian lenders beginning to price efficiency, just for what you were saying, efficiency and operating performance into financing decisions, particularly for residential estates? Is what you just said now?
Yeah, definitely yes. Definitely yes. It's not really new, but it's new in Nigeria, right? So our capital normally flow to where it will get superior return. And like somebody said, where exit, it can also get exit, right? So there is happening. It's normally priced into residential housing, right? But let me just say something to my brother, right? And that's what we have done as a business. We go to market to raise money. We try to avoid bank that gives us 34% by putting the right governance structure so that you can raise for 24, 23, 22. That would do a lot for your business instead of going to the bank. because you are aware there's a mismatch between there's an asset liability mismatch for real estate funding. Right, it's a long term, and we want to deliver quality to our subscribers. So you need to look for alternative way of sourcing finance. Thank you, Business Day, for having this. We're grateful. Thank you.
Hand over to the our honorable commissioner. From all that we've said, we didn't have enough time to exhaust all the things that we had to say. But what I heard them say was that there's need for us to be indigenous as Nigerians. There's need for us to look inwards. The cooperative model is like a democracy system where it's welfareism. People come together, they contribute money for a reason. The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria would lend money to a cooperative that has land, that has good title, and they will give you money to build at 6% interest rates. And the money is payable until, because you have a land already. So that's one avenue most people don't even try to get into. Everybody in Nigeria wants to own their thing. What if 2-3 people, young adults, own an apartment? You're a landlord. Another thing we often do is that we want to build where our dream home is. We want to encourage you to start with your seed home. Like my brother said, when we talk about housing deficiency, is it just Lagos? But even in Lagos, can you start from Mowe? Can you start from Ekpe? Can you start from Ibejuleki to own instead of everybody wanting to do GRA? Start from where your hand can reach. Then I want to speak to young people. My gentleman, Mr. Bright. A lot of us in the Western world where they have brainwashed us, people start to own their own homes as young adults from the age of 18. So there is a call to young people now to begin to have a savings culture. Start to come together to say, but before I'm 25, even if it's a plot of land, let me own one. That will not permit us to say a whole lot. Then, talking about capital, you as your own self individual, are you credible? So thank you so much for having us. I want to now yield the floor to the Honorable Commissioner. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm happy actually that questions have been posed to me. And let me first start with demolition. Now, let me just use the example of what happened in Abuja when the minister went to a particular site. Remember what happened thereafter. You got to know that when they brought in the submission, they told them that you cannot build in this area. They didn't collect the application from them. They now went to site and started work. At setting out, 2 officers were there. They did not listen. At foundation commission, officers were there. They did not listen. That's exactly what happens in Lagos. I can tell you authoritatively, in Lagos today, there is no single site anywhere in Lagos that you will start work and one of our officers will not visit. But what we normally have is that at that stage, you may have 1 or 2 personnel going out. And what we normally have is hostile condition, where they will harass those officers and they will go back to the office. As we have it in the law, you must give notice. When you approach the site, you ask, where is your approval? They don't have approval. You say, please avail us with your approval. If they don't respond, after 7 days, you come back again and you say. But what I can say is that even where you have approvals granted, look, I've been a developer. And if I use the experience of where I was trained, that's Lagos Business School. Lagos Business School would rather pay a penalty of, would rather pay 500 million naira than to pay a bribe of 5 naira. For those of you that have been to Lagos Business School, what they teach is ethics.